Hey there, it's Bob St-Jacques again. Time for the next question. How do we keep unity and avoid resentment between frontline employees who are continuing to report to work, we're considered an essential services organization, and those who are working from home? This is just a continued, sore spot, so to speak, between, office and field, right? And so I've been part of retail organizations where this has always been a source of friction. And, a few things that you can do now in terms to start to lessen some of this friction. The first thing that comes to mind is, especially if you're a leader in an organization, acknowledge the frontline workers early and often, right? So talk about the efforts they're going through. Most of them are probably working long hours because maybe they're covering for people who are ill, and or especially if you're an essential service, there's probably increased demand in that area. Another thing too is beyond just acknowledgement, public acknowledgement and praise, for their efforts. The second piece is, what can you do as office employees in terms of, making your appreciation known. So, I've heard of companies doing everything from helping to organize prepared meals because again, they're working long hours. They don't have, they're dog tired when they get home and they don't have the energy to prepare meals. It's nice to have these prepared meals ready. And or they contribute so that these can be delivered, again, depending on what state and country you're living in, there's different, restrictions on this area. Another company did something that I saw was fairly interesting in that they had the folks working from home write handwritten thank you notes to individual frontline workers, thanking them for their efforts and, and for the job that they're doing. A third level to go even further, right, is can they help? So I'm talking about the folks who are traditionally in the office. Can you go out? So for example, I worked for a retail organization and during busy times, we were expected to spend a certain amount of time in the stores actually selling our product. And that was especially true around holiday times, and we had to fill in. So yes, we had to do our 40-hour, traditional work week and then pick up some shifts at night and on the weekends in order to give some of the frontline employees a little bit of time off for them to do their own holiday shopping, right? So why couldn't that apply now? Again, depending on the restrictions within your local area, what would be needed, to happening. But I'm guessing is if the folks are already working, there's probably a process in place. I also worked for an airline, right? And one of the worst jobs in the world is de-icing planes. Well, as director of HR, I got out there and was de-icing planes at 1 o'clock in the morning, -5 degrees, sleeting and snowing and so on. And that creates a lot of camaraderie and, a lot of understanding on my part in terms of, what it's like to do their job. So, again, it's the problem is a continuance of what's already occurring in terms of, the field versus office, friction. But there are three levels. Again, acknowledging the effort, doing something special in terms of meals or thank yous. And if you can, get out there and help the people, help relieve them because a lot of them are probably working long hours. If it's a specialist area, what can you do behind the scenes? Maybe if it's at a distribution center, you can help prepare some pallets or, do some picking and things like that. So again, just a few ideas in terms of how to lessen the friction between your field and head office.